Right, let's take you to this story now. Floods are again wreaking havoc in KZN. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC Bongi Sithole is visiting flood-stricken areas under the Newcastle Local Municipality. Now, Siphamandla Goge tagged along. He joins us now live just to give us an update on how things are looking. I understand, Sipa, that at the moment there is just clean-up and mop-up operations happening in Newcastle. How's that going?
Indeed, that is correct. Clean-up and mop-up operations are underway in and around the Majuba district. It's not the only district that has been affected in KwaZulu-Natal. There are about 4 districts that have been affected by severe flooding. They include Zululand, Gude, and then, of course, our Majuba district appears to be one of those that have been severely affected, mainly the CBD of Newcastle town. It's one of the most strategic towns that connects KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and the Free State. It's been underwater for a couple of days now. It's been raining for about a week, and it appears that the issue is the infrastructure that seems not to work properly every time there are heavy rains in this town of Newcastle. Inside this council chamber is a meeting that is underway that is being chaired by the MEC responsible for cooperative governance and traditional affairs in KwaZulu-Natal. That is Bongi Sithole. She is busy here with the district authorities. There are about 3 or 4 municipalities under Majuba. They include Newcastle Local Municipality. There is also a Madlangeni as well as Danhouse. They've been given a report of the extent of the damage, talking about bridges, roads that have been washed away, and there are reports, of course they will be confirmed when the provincial authorities and the district authority, or rather the district authorities, visit those heavily affected families. There are reports of 2 people that are said to have lost their lives. We'll get more confirmation from the MEC of CoGTA once she's done with this briefing, which is underway. But it's not looking good in terms of infrastructure. In terms of lives that have been lost, it's not that severe at the moment. However, if you're listening to the briefing inside, there are about 200 houses that have been affected in the district. And what makes it more difficult for these clean-up and mop-up operations to be successfully undertaken is the fact that most of the roads are still wet. The heavy equipment, I'm talking about graters and other equipment that can be used to basically fix the road, is unable to access some of the rural areas outside Newcastle town. Inside Newcastle CBD, they've been able to deal with flooding, and water is subsiding as we speak. Economic activity has resumed in Newcastle, but in other parts that are outside of the town itself, that's where the challenge appears to be. We were listening to that briefing by CoGTA MEC here, telling us that, well, they have been receiving a call from the national government to try and establish what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal. The National Department of CoGTA has also issued a statement, because this flooding is not only in KwaZulu-Natal. About 3 provinces are affected as we speak. They include the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal. What makes it even worse and what triggers fears and anxiety and traumatic experience in KwaZulu-Natal is the fact that last year there were devastating floods that hit eThekwini in particular and Ilembe district, and more than 300 people lost their lives. So every time there are reports of flooding in KwaZulu-Natal, many people will quickly go into that panic mode and think about what happened last year when there were those devastating floods. And let me tell you that also in Gude district, there were reports of a 17-year-old girl that is said to have been washed away. She has not been found, according to the report that we just had from inside that briefing. Of course, that includes areas such as Umkhuze and Ejozini, which is far northern KwaZulu-Natal. Also, the South African National Defence Force issued a statement yesterday saying their tent, where they are preparing for the National Armed Forces Day next week, has been severely affected. They are having a media briefing tomorrow. So it would appear that in terms of infrastructure, there is more damage that has been caused by the recent floods.
All right, Sipa, so what is the MEC of CoGTA planning to do exactly once she does go out into the community, if she's able to?
Of course, for now, it's to assess and provide all the necessary support that is required for all the districts that are affected. Remember, by being present here as CoGTA MEC, after this, she will have to compile a report, send it to the national government, and see if there is any need for more additional resources to be allocated, and for the provincial executive of KwaZulu-Natal to see if certain areas have to be declared, disaster areas, and what more in terms of resources can be availed. I'm talking about technical resources, human resources, and other resources that can be used in such operations as we speak, but also to fix the infrastructure. A number of bridges are said to have been washed away, a number of roads are damaged. Remember, some district municipalities, including Amajuba, they wouldn't have financial resources and other technical resources to fix all that infrastructure, so they would need some intervention from the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal, and if needs be, the provincial government and the executive council will have to take a decision to write to the National Department of CoGTA and ask for more urgent intervention from the national government. So after this briefing, they are going to visit all those affected areas, and they would ascertain what kind of help is needed, and then they will compile a report. But for now, she has told all those who are inside that the immediate task is to avail at least the equipment that will help in rebuilding the infrastructure that has been severely damaged. So that's the kind of intervention right now, to fix the roads and to be able to access those community members who are still stuck, because according to the report that has been presented inside, a number of households are unreachable because of the damaged roads.